Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
The first caller is Stephen. Hello, Stephen, can you hear us?
Yes, actually. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing real well, actually.
Wicked. What would you like to talk to us about today?
So I'll probably have to put you on speaker and go through my text to find out what exactly they said, but apparently atheism is a religion because the process of getting into religion is getting an education.
Okay, so so the call screener notes here says that it's like the version of baptism for atheism is like education. So are you saying that your friend is saying something like, in order to be a Christian, you need to be baptized, and in order to be an atheist, you need to be educated? Is that what they're trying to claim?
Who's making this argument?
Well, we were having a conversation about, do you need God to have morality? And
no.
That came into question. They were saying how it's funny because apparently atheism, especially with scientists, is dogmatic.
Right. Well, that's kind of the opposite of what science is. It's like an exploration and trying to find out what's true, which means that you're constantly finding new things out and changing what the understanding of the world is, as opposed to religion, which is the complete opposite of that, which is we've decided what's true and it can't change. So I know that sometimes people will say that you'll hear something like someone will say, "Oh, well, I believe this," and you're like, "Well, that's wrong because we've got the evidence to show it's wrong. The science shows it's wrong, so it must be wrong. We can just look at the evidence." And you won't back down because you'll be like, "Well, I've got the evidence. I know I'm right because we've seen it," and that can appear like dogmatic because you're being strong-willed in your assertion. But that's not the same as blindly asserting something. I think lots of the time in this kind of argument, they like to try and play it like it's a two sides thing, like, oh, you believe your thing and I believe my thing, so they're equal, but they aren't, because one is based on some kind of evidence and predictions that we've made based on our understanding, and the other is just a blind belief.
Yeah, Stephen, who is the person making the argument that atheism is a religion because atheism requires education?
Well, I don't want to give out his actual name.
No, I don't know. I just mean, was this a friend? Was this a person you were hanging out with? Who is this?
Oh. Well, it was a fellow person from the youth group that I got the pastor to call, and he's seen as one of the most intelligent people there. He's trying to become Supreme Court justice, and his exact words on this subject were, "It's controlled by dogmatic atheism that itself has become a religion." And I said, atheism is not having a religion because you haven't been given enough proof that there is a God or that one religion exists or is better than the other. And he said, exactly, a religion of irreligion. It is too dogmatic to be anything else.
Yeah, so a few things. One, there are several forms of atheism. There are several types of people who are atheists that may be dogmatic about certain beliefs. It is totally irrespective of their atheism, because atheism is simply lacking a belief in God. And regardless of whether or not you believe that means everything that doesn't have a belief in God, down to rocks and babies, are atheists, or you think you have to be able to consider the position to be able to adopt the label, doesn't really matter. Your atheism would be irrespective of whatever other things you take up. Atheism is not itself a motivating factor for almost anything, and people who act like it is are just wrong. What your friend is doing is something called equivocation, which is often done with the words faith or spirituality or things of that nature. And I had a friend recently on Facebook write something like, people, atheists who tell me that spirituality doesn't exist are so obviously wrong. I just kind of laugh at them or something along those lines. And somebody went and disagreed with them, and they were like, well, I describe spirituality as just there being something more than us, whether it's the laws of physics or whatever it is. That's what spirituality is to me. And it's like, okay, well, yeah. Also, anybody who says they don't like onions, but when I say onions, I actually mean chocolate, I think are just full of shit. It's using, it's basically special pleading a definition of a word to fit that moment and to, I see that my video is apparently fast forwarding now. This thing just can't decide what it wants to do. It wants to either be slow or fast forward.
A video view from the future somehow. I'm not quite sure how that's working.
This whole thing is nonsense. Oh, I was just going to, real quick before I finish up. So, your pastor person, future Supreme Court justice, because Rush Limbaugh becomes president or whatever guy, this person is saying it's a religion when religion is specifically a system of worship around a super controlling, superhuman entity. We're talking about worship of something supernatural, essentially. You could make some cases for other things that could be within that definition, but it's still worship of a. So as soon as they are willing to let me know what the superhuman controlling power is as an atheist that I worship, then we would begin with something. But instead, they're trying to switch in these colloquial uses that they might use day to day that they think are very advanced and smart and that they're just bloody brilliant, and they're not. It's just stupid word games, and it's a way of them trying to. It's funny because you mostly get this with faith and things like that, where they are recognizing that being dogmatic or having faith are unreasonable things because they're trying to say, like, look, they do it too. So we're both just as bad. But then if you ask, okay, wait, so let's step back. You're saying these things are bad? Well, no, it's not. It's not. No,
yeah, all the time.
And the fact of the matter is you can tell a lot more about what any two people have in common if they both identify as Christian than you can tell about what two people have in common if they identify as atheist. The atheism it's some of the people I am the least like in this world, and some of the people I like the least in this world are other atheists.
So I'll just add on saying about the worship thing. Perhaps if you were trying to make an argument to this person, especially if they're like planning to become a judge or a justice or whatever, just bear in mind I'm not American, so I might mess this up slightly, but part of the American like foundation and constitution is freedom of religion and the separation of church and state. And if you were to make the argument, well, just start with another religion and say, do you think that Islam should be the deciding thing in American politics? Should we be making decisions based on Islam? Should that be the religion of the country? And they will say, well, no, obviously not. And like, okay, so we're not going to do Islam. So how about Hinduism? And then they'll say, well, obviously not. And then, you can go through some religions and then you say, well, we can't do any of the religions because obviously if we picked Hinduism, then all of the Muslims and all of the Christians would be in a rubbish position. And if we picked Islam, then all of, the Christians and the Hindus would be in a rubbish position. And if we pick Christianity, then all of, all the other groups would be in a rubbish position. So we need to pick none of these religions. And what is left when we do none of the religions is the position I'm arguing for. So you can claim that atheism is a religion, you can blah blah blah, but what I'm saying is I don't want any of the religions, and that's what I'm going to say is atheism here for this discussion. So whatever definition dance you want to do, I'm not interested. And like it's kind of like saying, here's all of the different positions, and I'm taking none of them. So how can you possibly argue that my position is the same as all the ones we're not taking? I hope that made some sense.
Jimmy, I think his point was trying to make like the things that are held as like politically correct, like the science behind trans people and like things that are controversial but really shouldn't be. Like if you don't make facts that support that, make facts. If you don't like provide like research that like helps to support those things, then like you won't be seen as like respectable or anything. Like you need to follow a certain like, I don't know, system of where you get to things, which is, I think in their mind it's cherry picking, but they're really more the ones that are cherry picking the evidence.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it wouldn't matter, because if they're trying to make the case that this is atheism, I can give you a list of 40 atheists right now who don't accept trans people's identity as valid. I can give you a list of climate changing denying atheists. I can give you a list of ones that think that they have to use the R word and the N word, otherwise we're giving them too much power. Political correctness and atheism, frankly, aren't remotely synonymous. And just because somebody is an atheist, again, this is a person who they want to paint a picture to people, and it's called when you're talking about cults, it's called othering or us versus them. They want you to think that there is a portrait of what atheists are, and that there is little to no divergence of it. Which is why it's still, as an atheist, I meet people all the time that are just like, wow, I always thought it was going to be something else, down to people thinking that they were going to meet me and I would literally worship Satan, which is a ridiculous proposition, because it's hard to believe in Satan but not God. I wouldn't be an atheist if I believed in an actual existing Satan. So yeah, there's just not an angle by which your friends' arguments aren't stupid, even if they are able to articulate them in ways that people are like, oh my God, whoa, the Spirit of God is with this man, just speaking truth to power. And I love that whenever you see religious people in these sorts of rants that they go on, they're always speaking like they're speaking truth to power. And I will not bow to you. I will not bow da 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 da. And who's their audience? A bunch of people who agree with them. They're cowards. I do this show to encourage those same pastors who want to speak truth to power. I mean, I co-host when I'm invited by Katy, so that they can call in, and I'm power and they can be truth. Come speak it to me.
Any pastors listening, come call in.
Yeah. Get your friend to call us, man. Yeah. Steven, get us.
I asked him,
Sorry.
I asked him, and he said his exact words were, "I don't have time to do purposeless debates."
No, he only has time to speak
chicken out
phrases that most of his audience already agree with. Like, yeah.
I just, with people like that, I know this is really childish, and people bait me with this all the time. Just do like, oh well, if you can't present your arguments, then obviously don't. Or just get under their skin a little bit. Like, if you're not capable of providing evidence.
Sorry.
Also, as far as purposeless, about a million different people watch me on some channel every month. If somebody takes me down, that is not purposeless. If that video, first of all, it would be played across a ton of the channels on the other side. Call and debate me and beat me. Let's do it. That is not without purpose. I'm not trying to like speak my own, whatever it's called, suck my own butt here, but
yeah.
There were so many souls. There were so many souls watching that need saving. So, you'd be doing the Lord's work even if you can't defeat the devil that is Jimmy. So,
considering how big the audience of this show and other shows attached to it are, it means that this person does not believe the people who disagree with him now, or maybe are just neutral and trying to decide that they don't have as much value as the people who already agree with him, which is something we already know that deeply religious people feel. They feel the most valuable people are those in their congregation. So, if he's not a coward who doesn't value human life equally, he'll call in.
Yeah. I do think
I'll try to convince him.
Thanks. Tell him I think he's a coward.
Do some posturing and call him, or like, don't you don't have to necessarily go in aggressive and say, "Oh, you're a coward," but just suggest it. Like, "Oh, I thought you were the kind of person who wasn't afraid to." Oh, don't worry,
Yeah,
if you're
'cause
afraid, no, it's fine.
he
Yeah, if you're
loves
afraid,
having
it's totally
debates
okay.
with people within this little circle of like acceptance that is the youth
This
group.
this is so common,
But
by the way. Is he
actually,
21?
I saw some. Yeah, I saw some people in chat. I'm not stuck in the youth group. I prefer to go in there so I can learn more about the book, so that I can use that when people try to like say that I'm not like accepted or anything.
Yeah. Listen, the moment
Yeah.
they bring me good evidence and it's not bullshit word games, I love that people think, and they'll make videos like the ultimate proof God exists. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
what would the ultimate proof be if I said like the ultimate proof that electricity works? If I create a video like that and I never at any point show electricity working or demonstrate how other people can recreate the test of electricity working and test by objective means that that's what happened, just like there has to be electricity, man, because how could the world exist without it? The sunset. I would be laughed out of, even in a thing so simple like electricity, which we all experience literally every day, and we all know exists. The bar would still be higher for me to make a video called "Proof of Electricity" than these people hold to themselves for proof of God.
I think it'd be impressive
Yeah.
to make a video on YouTube where you were claiming that electricity didn't exist. But I'm sure someone's done
I'm
it.
sure yeah, it exists. Almost certainly.
I found a channel the other day of someone who was convinced that gravity wasn't real, and they had all of these they were doing all kind of like things that look
probably a
like
flat
science. It's cargo cult. Sorry.
There's probably a flat earther because they don't believe
Yeah, it was.
gravity.
It was a flat earther, yeah. And they were like trying to replace it with pressure, but they like do this kind of like cargo cult science and maths where they do calculations and they crack out like formulas and stuff, so it looks like some kind of real science. But yeah, it's an experience. It's worth looking them up actually because it's
Speaking of
interesting.
funny things, people, while we were talking 8 minutes ago, I retweeted. So President-elect Joe Biden wrote something about science will be the forefront of their administration. And Pastor Greg Locke replied, "Oh, really? Tell me again how there's more than 2 genders, a fetus isn't a real baby, and 50-cent masks save the world from a deadly virus. And then he writes, the word scryant should never come out of your mouth." He's the one most important word of his whole tweet. He misspelled it. Scryant. Oh, no, not scryant.
They parody themselves.
By the way, I can answer all 3 of those. How there's more than 2 genders based on science. How a fetus isn't a real baby, because here's the thing you did, Greg. You didn't say how a baby in the womb is still a baby. You said how a fetus isn't a baby. You actually acknowledge the proposition as true when you make your claim that it's unscientific. It's like saying, oh, God, so science says this hot water is hot? You can't, fucking idiot. And then I can also explain to you how a 50-cent mask saved the world from a deadly virus.
When you said 50-cent mask, I thought you meant the rapper. I was like, what? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Either mask would help stop the virus. Anyway, Stephen, sorry, I went on a bit of a rant. Oh, he deleted it. He deleted it.
I hope you screenshotted it. Always screenshot everything from. Oh, someone will have.
I'm sure someone will have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, Stephen, have we helped with your situation?
Yeah, actually, and my friend who was stuck in that Catholic school is actually trying something to get out. So
good. It's good that they have some plans and some options on the table.
Yeah, but I'm gonna hang up. But Jimmy, I'm really sorry about what happened to Sammy. So
I don't want to talk about that at all. But I thank you so much for your condolences.
I know, but yeah, I hope you can.
Thank you. Nobody else bringing it up all night, but I appreciate the love.
Sorry.
You're good. Thank you, Stephen.
Excellent. It was good to talk to you, Stephen. Thank you very much for calling.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.